Thanks for tuning in to more thoroughbred horse racing talk and handicapping information on the Playbook Sports Horse Report with Jon Hardoon from the Sheets.
Good morning.
And a little slow there. That's what happens when we do it at 9:30 in the morning, right, John?
That happens when you have a long day, the day before opening day at Saratoga, and today is opening day at Del Mar.
There you go.
And hours of work and not much sleep, but it's expected for this time of year.
That's right. And Mark, good morning to you.
Good morning, guys. I hope it's a hectic weekend for you, John. It sounds like it's going to be, but it's a big weekend as far as horse racing is concerned this weekend.
Yes, it certainly is. And again, this is a time of year where horse racing is great. You know, they have the West Coast Del Mar, they have the East Coast Saratoga. People on the East Coast love Saratoga. People on the West Coast love Del Mar. I've been to both. They're both great, but Saratoga's greater.
Well, and
you're a California guy, right?
No, I'm actually originally a New York guy. I served 22 years in California, but not by choice.
Okay. And there is a grade state, I think it's a grade 3 in Del Mar today. But we'll possibly head over to Del Mar next week because next week Del Mar has 2 graded 2 stakes races, the Eddie Reed and the San Clemente. This week they have the grade 2 San Diego handicap. But there are 5 graded stakes races at Monmouth, including the Haskell, of course. That's the race of the week. We're going to talk about that in a little while. But first of all, we're going to get started on Saratoga's card and their top race, the grade 1 Diana. They also have the grade 3 Sanford. And by the way, next week Saratoga has the grade 1 American Oaks, which hopefully will be our mainline race of the week. All right, I tell you what, before we do move on with our picks, with all the stakes races, John, at Monmouth Park, we kind of limited it, even though Haskell is a race that we're going to talk about no matter what, because it's the Haskell. It's almost like talking about, you know, the Derby. It's you got to talk about it. But
it is Monmouth's Derby. You know, yes. To them, this is the biggest race that they offer there. I think it's $1 million race. It is. And, you know, these are the 3-year-olds, some of them that ran in the Derby, and these are, you know, supposed to be some of the best horses.
But,
you know, they used to run this race after the Travers, but now they run this race before the Travers.
Okay.
You know, it's unusual to think that any of these horses are going to come back and run in the Travers, but it's certainly a possibility.
But unfortunately, we don't do Monmouth Park very often. Matter of fact, this is like the only race we tend to do at Monmouth Park, and it's because of the new rule. Now, this is a rule they just put in this year, this meet.
Yes, sir.
And that is no whipping.
No whipping.
And what's the deal there? Is that just they don't want to hurt the horse? They feel they don't want to hurt the horses? Is that what it is?
It's they're trying to be politically correct. However, they invited people to the table, like from PETA, that have no clue of what's going on. First of all, the whips they use aren't real whips. They're foam rubber on the end. They make popping noises. They don't hurt the horses. You know, people think they abuse the horse when they use this whip. They don't abuse the horse. It's a popping noise.
Has that always been the case?
No, they changed a few years ago. Ramon Dominguez, an ex-jockey, invented this new whip, and they use it all over the country except Monmouth. You're allowed to carry the whip, you just can't use it. So they let you carry it in case your horse is bearing out and heading for the outer fence or wanting to go over the rail. You know, but last Sunday, I think the first race, a jockey used the whip, and now he faces a penalty of a serious penalty. They're talking about giving him 30 days or some ridiculous thing. Like
so there are no real whips anymore then, John, is what you're saying.
Right. They use this popping whip. It's not like it used to be. And even the old ones, I mean, you know, you're dealing with 1,500-pound animals, and a lot of times horses need encouragement during the race. And if you watch the races from Monmouth, it's like watching a staged event in a movie set or something where, you know, nobody's whipping and trying. It doesn't look like they're trying. And I've watched a few races, and I could tell you for a fact it's cost people money.
All right.
You know, horses don't get up. They just don't get there in time, and it's a bad way and you're asking people to bet their money on this, and I think it's a big mistake, and it's a big injustice to the bettor. That's for sure.
Well, we'll see how long that rule stays in place. Hopefully not too long. Okay, let's talk about the race at Saratoga first, though. And this is clearly the better wagering race. They're both, by the way, both races we're going to talk about today are a mile and an eighth. But this is a turf race, John, and we do want to preface the forecast.
Well, they're calling for 100% chance of rain tomorrow, but it's very unlikely that they'll take the race off the grass. This is a grade 1, I believe. Yeah, it's a grade 1. It's $500,000 race, and if they happen to have to take this race off the grass, they're all going to scratch because all this field does is run on the turf. They have no dirt form, and they're going to stay on the turf. I'm like, unless it's a complete monsoon, and then they would probably cancel the race, to tell you the truth, and run it back another day in the meet. They did that a couple of years ago, I remember, and this has a lot of implications on breeding and things like that. When you win a graded race like this, your value goes way up, obviously.
Now,
John, we have the same dilemma here that we had a little bit last week. I'm not saying dilemma because some handicappers like that. There's a lot of Euros in this race here, again this week. And you mentioned that at these turf horses that are bred for turf and run on turf, they don't get turf, they scratch. Will those Euro horses for certain scratch if this comes off of turf?
Again, it's not going to scratch. And if you recall, last week, both races were won by the Euros that were used to that kind of footing. Aidan O'Brien, the trainer, came in. He won the $700,000 race and he won the $1 million race. But both of them were on turf courses that had nothing but rain for 3 days prior to the race. So, they had a lot of rain up here earlier in the week, but they ran on the grass yesterday, opening day. They had to take one race off. Today, it's beautiful. Again, it's going to start raining tomorrow. The question is how much. And in either case, I'm sure it will remain on the turf.
So the soft turf Euros prefer, is what you're saying?
Yes, because they run on that where they come from. They don't get hard courses like we have here when it doesn't rain.
Cool.
All right, let's and the other thing I wanted to bring up is that this is a race for fillies and mares. And I know we kind of joke about it, but I just want to, maybe some people aren't the experts, but when you look here, and every horse has got the F by it except the one. But the one, which is a mare with the M, is 6 years old. So again, I want to make sure we all understand this. So once it's what, 4 years old then, or 3 years old?
When you're 5, you become a mare.
Okay.
So you're a filly till you're through your 4-year-old year.
Got it.
When you're 5, you then become an old lady, and they call you a mare.
Okay. So that's why the one, even though it's fillies and mares, we could say the one is a she.
Yes, of course it's a she.
Yeah.
A mare is just an older woman. That's all it is.
Okay.
The old gray mare, yes.
So the only time we ever use he is when?
I'm sorry?
When is the only time we use he?
He is for boys. When it's colts and geldings.
Colts and geldings.
Correct.
Okay. And is an age difference there? Like if the colt?
No, gelding means that you were castrated and,
Okay.
You're without equipment.
Yeah. You didn't get any babies down the road.
Okay. All right. Let's start with the one. Let's get into this. Let's start with the one here. And this is La Signare. And this is going to be a horse because I have one of the favorites that I'm going to try. Like I said, this is a wagering race that we're going to try to make some money off of. So I'm going to try to make some money by putting La Signare into my exactas at 15-1. It's interesting. You don't normally see this. When last 4 races, the results, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd. Okay, that's headed in the right direction. Sheets, 12, 11, 10, 9. You just don't normally see that. So hopefully that will continue. And the one will get an 8, maybe a 7, and maybe the horse will win. I like the fact that the horse has performed pretty well also over the last couple of times at this distance. That's during the trends that she's headed in the right direction. She has run nines in the past, but I like the way that she's headed this time compared to the nines last year, John, because again, I just like the way that she seems to be going in a forward direction. So maybe I can get an 8 on Saturday.
Well, she doesn't have to run an 8 if she has the rail and runs a 9. Other horses will have to run an 8 to beat her because she's going to save all the ground to be inside. Listen, the good news about her is she's 15 to 1. Yeah. I think she's a little slower than some other horses in the race, but I would never tell you to, I would never knock a 15 to 1 shot. That's fast. And that's what you have here.
Okay, now the 2 is Pocket Square. And Pocket Square, we only have 2 sheet numbers you can see there on the screen. That's because this is one of plenty of horses that we're going to talk about that have been imported. But at least we've got to see 2 races in the States, John. First race in the States at Keeneland got the win. The second race didn't go too well, 5th, but the sheets went from 10 to 7, as you can see on the board here. And we're talking about a Chad Brown-Velasquez combo at 8 to 1.
Yeah, this horse is fine. I mean, I don't believe she'll be 8 to 1. She went off the favorite in her last 2 races. She went off 2 to 1 both of those races. What makes you think that she's going to be 8 to 1? She went off 2 to 1 against the morning line favorite in here of Alfiqua. I'm using this horse in my numbers. She's done nothing wrong. She has a 10 and a 7, and she has time from the 7, so she doesn't have to react. And at 8 to 1, she's certainly a must use.
What do you think about the 2, Mark?
I think the horse will get bet down simply because of the Chad Brown, Johnny Velasquez combination. The shipper in from Great Britain here. Unknowns, I scratch my head when these Euros come in here. As John mentioned here, maybe the best starting point is looking to see if there's any other horses they've raced against and what they've done here in the U.S. But just the fact that it's Chad Brown, Johnny Velasquez coming from Great Britain, I think this horse will get bet down.
Okay, let's go now to the 3, and that is another horse. One of the other 2 horses I'm going to put into my exactas, Magic Attitude. Now, I know there's a lot here that, look, she's never run a single-digit number. I get that, but she's got a couple of wins in graded stakes races, including a grade 1 at Belmont last year. You're talking about a horse at 12 to 1. Again, I'm looking for some value. Tell me, John, what happened to this horse? Because last year, as you can see on the numbers, things were going really well. 16, 15, 13, 10. Started with a 12, and that was a dud. Came back with a 12, which is okay considering she won. But then again, another dud after that. So what do you think is going on with the 3?
I think she's headed in the wrong direction, and 12 to 1 is not a long enough price for me to play this horse. She never came back to the 10s that she ran last year, so that's a big negative sign. She did have excuses in her last 2 races. They were both paceless races, so, she had no pace to close into, so she could be excused for those 2 bad races. Listen, again, even if she runs her best race, it's a 10 from last year. What is a 10 going to do for you in this spot when you have horses with 7s and 8s? Your rail horse, the 1 at 15 to 1 is such a much stronger play than this horse is at 12 to 1.
I agree.
If you're looking for a price, you found the price with the 1.
Yep.
The 3 is not the price horse. The 1 is.
You going to say something, Mark?
Well, I'm just going to say that, going in the wrong direction is the key here. I could point out the fact that this horse, when shipped in from France, ran its first 2 grade 1 races with Castellano aboard. He's back aboard for this particular race. That would be great if the horse were improving or in form, but it's not. The horse is struggling right now, and I don't think Castellano alone is going to be the answer here. I'm going to pass the horse as well.
The 4 is Vigilante's Way. 4 straight 12s to begin the season. Nothing here, John?
No, that's what I call a flat line. You want to see a horse move in either direction, whether forward or back, and then you can make your decision on what you think he's going to do today. But this horse has a flat line, 12, 12, 12. That's not a good sign.
Yeah, the only thing that's good about this horse is that she's 7 out of 8 in the money on turf. That's it. All
but
right.
we don't know who those races were against.
Sure.
That's the
Right.
well, I know who they were against, but I'm just saying, 7 straight races on the grass. That's true, but they were small stakes. This is a $500,000 Grade 1, totally different company here.
Okay, the 5 is going to be my top pick, Harvey's Lil Goyle, a 3-1 shot. And things were looking really good last year, 9, 8, 9, 7. Starts this year, as you can see there, with the 2 10s. One of those was a win. But I like the fact that she's 2 for 2 with this distance. And I don't know. I just got a feeling that we're going to see a better race, sort of like what we saw last year. She's 4 years old. I think she's going to come back.
Well, the excuses, again, both of those races this year are both paceless races. But the problem is that tomorrow's race may end up being a paceless race too, because they're going to go real slow because of the turf condition. Not only that, there's not much speed in this race, and this horse needs a setup, I think. I think this is a play against at 3-1, only because of the fact that last year she had 2 8 and a 7. This year can't break the 10s. And she's short. If this horse was a prize, an excuse for those 2 races and play her to make a forward move. But when you're dealing with a short-priced horse, you don't want to make an excuse for a short-priced horse. If anything, you make an excuse to throw him out. And that's what I'm doing.
All right, the 6 is going to be our next horse here to talk about, which is John's top selection, Summer Romance at 4-1. And as you can see there on the sheet board, the 3 numbers here this year, 12, 7, 6. That's exactly what you want to see happening, John. So tell us why you like Summer Romance, besides the fact, obviously, that the sheet line is going in the right direction.
Well, first of all, she's going to be the only speed. She's going to be loose on the lead. They're going to have to come and get her, so that gives her somewhat of an edge. There are 3 horses in this race, the 2 Pocket Square, the 6 Summer Romance, and the 8 Alfiqua, that all are within a point or a point and a half or 2 points of each other. And this horse, I think, gets the edge because I think she's loose on the lead. She was beaten by the 8 last time out, so that'll guarantee me that the 8 will be a shorter price than this horse. I just think, again, this is the longest one of the 3. Well, the 2 is longer, but this makes the most sense to me out of the 3 horses. And she's 4-1. That's what I like her. She's never done anything wrong. Each race is better than the previous one. She's similar to the 8. When you see the 8 sheet, Alfiqua, it's kind of the same sheet. The only difference is I'm getting a bigger price on the 6, and I know she'll be a bigger price because the 8 horse beat the 6 horse the last time they ran against each other, but I think things will be different. Not only that, the inner turf at Saratoga, speed gets a big edge. It's a big advantage. They're real sharp turns, and again, a big edge to speed horses. And not only that, but Summer Romance, to me, is one of the only speeds in the race. So I think she's going to be tough here.
All right. Next up is going to be Mark's top pick now. So you guys go head-to-head with each other here with these 2
Well, not
horses.
quite my top pick, Greg. A second pick, but nonetheless.
Oh, that's right. This is your second choice because we're going to get to your top pick next. You got your next 2 picks are your top 2 picks. This is your second choice at 5-2, La Mista. 5-2, one of the favorites, but 11 to start. As you can see there, we only have an 11 on the board. So why do you like the 7 at such a short price with the 11?
Well, I don't like the short price for sure. The horse I'm going to use is a longer price on top, and I feel I can use a horse like this underneath, if you will. You got a Chad Brown, Irad Ortiz combination. I think that happens to be the best combination in horse racing today. The horse comes out of a bullet work at Belmont. And the horse is also 1-for-1 at the distance here. I think he checks a lot of boxes, or she checks a lot of boxes, I should say. I'm not thrilled about the price, but I'll have this horse underneath my 8 horse for my top choice.
John, I don't think that this horse will actually go off as is favorite. Do you see the horse going off as the favorite, or is that just because of Ortiz and Brown?
That's because of Ortiz or Brown, like Mark pointed out. However, I just have a problem betting a favorite that's 5 points slower than faster horses that I play the numbers, and there's no value in playing this horse as the favorite. Can she win? Of course she can win. She has 1 start in this country, and obviously she's eligible to improve. But the other Chad Brown, the 2, that horse ran a 7. This horse has an 11. That horse is 8-1. This horse is the favorite. Why would I play the 7 over the 2?
Sure.
Not for me.
Now, the 8, Mark, this is your top pick, Alfiqua, and a 3-1 shot. Now, you look at the sheet line here, and this is exactly what we want to see. 9, 8, 6, coming off a win in that Grade 1 race at Belmont. So I just think the 8's going to end up as a shorter price, even though Brown and Ortiz are aboard the 7.
Well, this horse is nothing but in the money, 10 for 10 in its career, off a big bullet work at Belmont 3 weeks ago. What I like here is this is a comfortable field, what I'm calling a comfortable field. This horse has raced twice in fields that were smaller than 10 horses and won both of those particular races. So he's not going to be mixed in with a lot of company here in this particular race. He's also has a nose for the money. 10, like I said, 10 for 10 in the turf here. For the price, I'm going to put the 8 horse up on top in this race.
John?
Well, if you put her sheet next to the 6 horses sheet, I mean, the sheets are the same, aren't they?
Yes.
This horse ran 12, whatever. The 6 ran 12-7-6, and this horse ran 9-8-6. The only difference is the 6 is a longer price than the 8, and the 6 is going to be on the lead. So I think the 6 gets a little edge, and she's a longer price. That's why I went to the 6 over the 8, but the 8 could certainly win. I like the 6 here. I like 6 with 2 and 8. Those are the exactas. I think you want to try to beat the 5 and the 7, both at short prices and both vulnerable, in my opinion. And that's the way that I would look to attack the race. By the way, the 6 and 8 are both trained by the same trainer. So for whatever that's worth.
All right. And that is Charles Appleby.
European trainer that does real well.
Okay, so once again, John 6 with the 2 and the 8, Mark 8 with the 7, I go with 5 with the 1 and the 3. All right, it's now Haskell time. So let's break out the Haskell cards here, and this is a Breeders' Cup Challenge race. So this is so this and this is all about. I'm not even putting, by the way. I didn't even spend any time on taking sheets for the 2, the 5, or the 7. I don't even know what those horses are doing in this race. Maybe the 2. Do you think the 2 is the best long shot of the 3, John?
I don't think any of them have, like you said, have any chance.
Yeah, I mean, what are they doing in the race?
They're filling the field.
Yeah.
They just don't. I mean, you have a shot to run for $1 million, and even if you get a piece, any piece, if there's something goes amiss in the race,
Yeah.
all 3 of those horses are going to be distanced.
All right, let's start with the 1, and this is going to be John's top selection, Following C. And as you can see from the sheets here, different C, 9, 6, 4. So that's perfect. The only thing that we are going to concern ourselves with, and by the way, you got Rosario Pletcher, which is pretty good too, is the fact of the distance. So talk a little bit about the distance deal here, John.
Well, the horse is certainly bred to go long. You know, maybe not this far, but listen, the horse has 3 starts and has done nothing wrong. The reason that I'm leaning towards this horse is because the 3 and the 4, Mandaloon, Hot Rod Charlie, and the 6, Midnight Bourbon, all went through the heavy campaign of running in the Triple Crown races. So they could have all been spent by this point. This is the lightly, fresh horse in the race. This horse hasn't been squeezed out. Those horses have all been squeezed out. The only question is, this was originally Bob Baffert's horse. When he got in trouble, they took the horse away from him and gave him to Pletcher. But all Pletcher did was get get a top out of this horse. So I got no problem with that. And again, he's got a perfect line. He's never done anything wrong. I think he has a shot to pair up 4s, and I think if he runs another 4, a 4 is going to win it. And John, he's the longest shot out of the 3 horses that have a chance.
Let me ask you this, John. The horse is very lightly raced. Only 3 races and done nothing wrong, as you said. And these numbers work well in what you're looking for. Is that last number a bounce number, or would you not consider it because of only 3 races?
Well, I would not consider it for the simple reason that he's got like almost 2 months since that 4. And if you look between the 6 and the 4, he had a little longer time off between those 2 races. And he's done nothing wrong. Again, that's the key here. He's got 3 starts, and each one is better than the previous one. And I'm using an angle of where the other horses may have been spent already from running in the Triple Crown races where this horse wasn't.
I follow
And
you.
that bounce factor generally, and we've talked about this before, is you want at least 5 weeks.
Right.
Okay.
5 to 6
5
weeks.
to 6. Okay, now we're going to go with the second of the top horses in the field, the true Kentucky Derby winner, Mandaloun. My pick
Not yet.
in the Derby.
Soon to be the Kentucky Derby winner.
I know, right? So I'm waiting, but that's okay. By next year, they'll figure it out.
The last time something like that happened, it took about 3 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. Anyway, Mandaloun is a 2-to-1 shot, as we see. Just came off a race at Monmouth, so she got pretty familiar with the track. Excuse me, he got familiar with the track. And look, the reason I like them, we talked about this in the Derby, is the sheet line, as you can see here, things were going really well. And then all of a sudden, one bad race at the Louisiana Derby, and the horse got the odds. Everybody just forgot about Mandaloun, and Mandaloun came back and almost won the Derby. Now, went from a 7 to a 9 in the last race. I don't know. I'm not really too concerned about that, but I'm concerned about the 2-to-1, obviously. I just think that there are other good horses that maybe it's their time.
I mean, he's fine. There's nothing wrong with him. And you're right. The 13 that he ran at Fairgrounds off of the 8 means nothing. A bounce was coming that day. But I really would have liked to see better than a 9 last time out, even though he won. If he had a shot to be a serious contender for the Breeders' Cup, and he would have run another 7 last time, and he didn't.
And it was a tough one.
So for
he only won by a neck.
Because he had no whip. Go watch
that's true.
The race.
It was Monmouth. Yeah.
Actually, he was pulling himself up. That's another problem. Well, I would use him underneath only because by default there aren't many horses in this race that could walk. Like you said, the 3, 5, and 7 have a 0 chance. So you're down to a 4-horse field. And again, I don't like him as much as I would like Hot Rod Charlie. That's for sure. And he has his chance.
Yeah.
That's all I can
All 4 of these horses have a legit chance. There ain't no question about that. Mark?
Well, we're talking about a 4-horse field here, basically, in truth. That's what we're looking at here. And we're going to try and squeeze out the best value we can find from these horses here. So, that's first and foremost where we're going to ultimately end up going here. My question here, John, is in a race like this with no whip, is a closing horse a horse that you want to look to throw out? Because, if you're going to need that whip on a horse that's going to want to figure to close.
Yeah. That's why I think the 1 has an advantage, because I think whoever makes the lead in any of the races at Monmouth have a big advantage. The other guys can't whip. How the heck are they going to catch up? Not all horses need encouragement, but when you come from behind, a lot of times those horses need a wake-up call, and they're up against it when you don't have a whip. And the interesting thing is all these jockeys in this race, for the most part, are shipping in with their horses. They're not used to these rules, And this is $1 million race. So if I'm coming down the stretch and it's $1 million race, I'll take my suspension and my fine if I'm going to get a chance to win. And I guarantee someone's going to use the whip here and get in trouble for it.
Okay, let's now move on to the 4. This is Hot Rod Charlie. And as we talked about with Hot Rod Charlie, I think we talked about this after the Derby, about what a crazy career Hot Rod Charlie has had. Gone from nothing over his first 5 races, basically 4 races, and then all of a sudden goes from the win, breaks the maiden, second in the Breeders' Cup Juvie race, and he's off from there. As you can see on the sheets, they're really good. 11, 9, 7, 6. Got the Louisiana Derby win. Mark, this is your top choice. I can absolutely see why. John and I both like the horse as well. 6 to 5. We wonder who's going to go off as the favorite. It could be Hot Rod Charlie, Mark.
Well, we're hoping it's not Hot Rod Charlie because I do have him on top in this particular race. A lot to like about the horse. You check the boxes, the Belmont, the Kentucky Derby, won the Louisiana Derby. Is it going to end up being a tired horse because of all that, as John calls out? That's a potential possibility here. No question about it. The question, my concern here is Doug O'Neill, the trainer here, the switch to Doug O'Neill. What's that all about, John?
It's not a switch. It was always Doug O'Neill. What happened was he was suspended and he ran under his assistant trainer's name, Lee Namora. That guy works for O'Neill. They've been together for 20 years, and it's the same barn. It's not a barn switch.
So no big change.
Yeah, no change at all. Listen, the line is as nice as it gets. You know, I mean, 11, 9, 7, 6, and they're all well spaced. You see the time between races. O'Neill's done a terrific job with this horse, and this horse is primed to run a 6 or better. No question about it, but he will be the favorite for sure. He will definitely be the favorite. I don't see anyone, being shorter than him. He's got an impressive resume coming in. I'm just hoping the one's a real horse and runs off of that 4, and I think the one may have a pace advantage as well.
All right, and then the last horse in the field is going to be my top selection, and that is going to be Midnight Bourbon. And Midnight Bourbon, you take a look here, also a very nice sheet line. Really since October of last year, 17 all the way to 11 to start the season, 10, 9, couple of 9, 6 is last time out, which was this runner-up at the Preakness. And look, I like this horse for a couple of reasons. One, you've got the good sheet line heading in the right direction, and 2, I'm getting close to 5-1. So I think this horse, who was really close in the Preakness, until he was taken over down the stretch. Maybe this is going to be Midnight Bourbon's turn, John. But again, 5-1 almost, which is pretty good. One of these 4 horses is going to get good odds, and hopefully it's going to be the 6 and the 1, like you like the 1 as well with the 3-1 number.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's nothing wrong with this horse. This horse is fine, and Asmussen did a smart thing. He passed the Belmont after the Preakness, and he waited for this spot. So he's given the horse plenty of time since that last race. He certainly could win. I have no knocks on the horse, but it's only a 7-horse field, and real truth, it's a 4-horse field. So how many horses can you use? Yeah. That's the problem that I have with it.
Yeah.
But
the top exact is going to, with the top horses, is actually going to end up being 1-6.
Yeah, or 6-1 will be longer probably than 1-6. But yes.
Yeah. Which is probably not a bad idea. All right. There you go. So I'm going to pop up here as far as our selections of the week so everybody can see what they look like as soon as I can find them. Oh, there they are. Picks of the week. Okay. Oh, we're all the way behind. How do I get them? Oh, I got them behind you. That's what happened. Okay, I got to move them in the right direction. Anyway, next week, we talked about it. We have the Grade 1 race. That's going to be over at Saratoga. Is that what I said? Yes, the American Oaks. And then we got the 2 Grade 2 stakes races at Del Mar. So I think that's hopefully what we'll do is that Grade 1 race at Saratoga, and maybe we'll grab that one of those Grade 2 races at Del Mar next week. And John, good luck. I'm sure you're burnt out, so hopefully all the hard work will pay off for you this weekend.
It's only been one day. I got a long way to go.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Stay safe.
Guys, may the horse be with us. Have a great weekend. Good luck.
Guys, thank you. Good luck, everybody.